pretty clear to see we have millions invested in this dairy farm. And with so many other alternative dairy products on the shelves today, we wondered, is the dairy industry dying? So we decided to take matters into our own hands and attend Dairy Farmers of Ontario's annual general meeting to get the inside scoop on whether Canada's dairy industry, and particularly Ontario's, is thriving or dying. And we sure got informed. We just have to wrap up a few things before we take off, so come along with us, join us as we buckle up our farm and take off to Toronto for a couple of days.
This video is sponsored by Major Dairy AI Services Limited.
Hey guys, so it is a normal day on the farm. I'm gonna grease the skid steer. I'm going to clean some windows in the milk house. I am also going to make some dry cow feed, and then before lunch I put some sand in the barn. I really needed to do that. I should have done it last week, but I already did that this morning before lunch, so I didn't get that filmed. Okay, we got the skid steer greased. Now we're good to go for a couple of weeks. I use this skid steer on average 3 hours a day, so maybe not that much in the winter, maybe 2 in the winter, closer to 4 in the summer when we're picking up bales and stuff like that. But you use it a fair bit, and you gotta keep those pins greased, or you'll wear those pins out and it'll start squeaking, and it's really hard on the loader. So time to do my final clean on these windows. I cleaned them with soap and water the other day, and I cleaned all the screens. Oh, these screens about a week ago, they were full of dirt from the summertime. Cleaning windows, it's maybe not the funnest job, but if you just leave them and never do it, it starts to not look so good. So it looks a lot nicer when the windows are clean, and I probably get that from my dad. He always liked cleaning the windows in the barn. I don't think they sized those screens right. They were too hard to get back in, and they were way too hard to get out when I took them out earlier. I think we'll also bed these little guys up. The front of their hutches are just a little bit damp. Probably tough to see that, but a little bit damp, and when it's cooler, the way it is now, you want lots of nice dry straw in there, so we'll bed them up. Got a couple of small square bales here.
We've got some cousins over, and they're sledding down this snowy, icy laneway to the barn. I'm starting to think they've maybe spent a little too much time together over the last few days because there seems to be more arguing going on than anything else. Ben, you might have to stand at the end. At DFO's, which is Dairy Farmers of Ontario's annual general meeting. It's our first time being here. Eddy's on our county dairy committee, so the dairy committees of each county in Ontario are encouraged to come. We've been very fortunate that we're able to come to this event. It's really encouraging to be around so many people in the same industry. Dairy farming is one thing, but there are so many different ways to do it. There are different ways to milk the cows, there are different ways to bed the cows, there are different ways to feed the cows, there are different calf programs, and there's so many different things, and you get to talk to people that do it differently. And for me, I did not grow up on a farm, so I've learned a lot in the last 8 years as I've married a farmer, and I know a lot about our farm, but that doesn't necessarily mean I know a lot about all things to do with dairy farming, and even Eddy's learning new things too, so that's really neat. And it's also neat to learn about the behind the scenes of the dairy industry and what DFO is doing to promote dairy products, their strategic plans, and different ways they're serving the public. And it's really encouraging, and there are so many young people at this meeting, so it's not a dead industry, it's very alive, and we're super encouraged by that, and we hope to come again next year. We've kind of had the camera down. This is our last day here. I did make a short video just kind of recapping the whole event, but we wanted to be really present in this, so this is our last day. We're going to be heading home soon, and you can come do chores with us. It's at the Royal York Hotel, and they have this whole floor, well, a wing of the floor designated to dairy. So there's the mood market, there's all kinds of displays showcasing what fundraising plans have been, and then there's meetings in other separate banquet rooms. So this is Eddy's aunt and uncle, Jeff and Yvonne here. We met them at the meeting, and I just asked them if they would share their thoughts, so they're gonna do that now. So what did you think of it, Uncle Jeff?
Yeah, it's always good to get to Toronto and talk to other producers from other areas and do a little networking and see how things are going, what their concerns are from the other DPCs and stuff like that. So yeah, I like it.
I really enjoy the day. It's not often you get to spend a couple of days with people whose lifestyles are very similar to our own. In a sense, it's very comforting and reassuring that the industry is bigger than what you do on your farm. And I think it's good to get out and get that perspective, get the input from other producers, from industry leaders, from the board level. Yeah, I just find it a very fun couple of days and very informative.
Okay, we're back now. We're gonna go head over to the barn. Eddy went out ahead of us, and the kids and I are going out to the barn now to check on things, see how everything is. I expect it will be all great. You okay? Eddy's brother Mark said that he thought Piper missed us, so Piper's our dog. I'll bring you along to see how everybody's doing. So this calf here was born before we left, but she wasn't quite dried off to go outside, and we weren't confident with putting her outside in these cold temperatures, so she's still in here with Mom. You can see she has figured out how to drink from Mom. The coat's really dirty. And this calf was born this morning. So she's not outside yet either because she's not, well, she might be dried off now, but I'll get a coat on her and then Eddie will probably get these two in hutches this evening. I just checked and this one's a bull. See? That one's a bull. The other one is a heifer, and Mom's not too pleased with me being in here, so I'm gonna get out. I can't get that hose to work. And I have to wash off my boots in the milk house. Kind of stinks in here. I don't know if maybe my nose is just not used to the farm anymore or what, but I'm finding it extra potent today. So I haven't been out in the calf yard yet, but peeking out, everything looks good. I walked up and down the barn. Everything looks fine, which is good. Eddie is out in the heifer barn. He's cleaning out the heifers. Usually he does that in the morning, but he told his buddy that he didn't have to do it today since we would be home, and then Eddie would just do it when we got back. So he's checking on things in there and dealing with that. Albert left the feed pails full for me. That's pretty exciting. I think they missed me. We moved these heifers out of this super hutch before we left, just so it was a little bit easier out here. And then we put 4 in this group. I know I've said before that we normally max out at 3, especially in the winter when it's wetter, but it's cold and it's not sloppy, so we put 4 in so that they would have some more heat inside through the cold nights. So number 48 there is the newest member, and she looks okay. Oh, there's my timer. I need to go tell the kids to share. So I'm gonna feed these guys. I'll check bedding to make sure their bedding is nice and dry and replenish any needed. And I'm also going to go in and check their calf coats to make sure they're not getting too tight. Loosen them a little bit if needed. A couple days later. I have not yet gotten Eddie's input on the DFO meeting and whether or not he thinks the dairy industry is dying. That night when I was taking video, he was not in the mood, and it took him a while to come into from the heifer barn. So it's a couple days later. It's beautiful out. Feels like spring out here. Talk about a January thaw. Anyway, I'm heading out to the barn. Gonna ask him his opinion, his raw, real opinion. First, I gotta find him. So, what are your thoughts on the meeting?
The meeting was good. It was informative. It was nice to meet with other producers. It was nice to see what DFO does behind the scenes, the political stuff they have to deal with, the marketing that they do. They do a really good job with marketing. DFO puts a lot of money. I guess as producers, we put a lot of money into marketing, and I feel like those dollars we're spending on marketing is spent well, and just trying to grow the dairy industry. And it was a good meeting and lots of good information. So one thing that we pulled out of the meeting, or that I got from the meeting, is that DFO is trying to get behind more processing in the province. So being able to process more milk when it's needed, if it's needed, or if there's a breakdown at any big plant that's in Ontario, having more processing capacity would help with that. Having more processing capacity would help for growth in the future. And the government and DFO is getting behind processors to help them invest in processing, because it's very hard for processors to invest in more processing when maybe it's not quite needed, or it's hard to invest in something if you're not going to be able to utilize it 100% right away. So the government and DFO are trying to back processors, and the government's getting behind processors with real money right now, trying to get them to invest in more processing capacity. So in the next 5 years, I think we'll see big changes And then when there is growth in the province in the future, then the processors will be able to fulfill that growth very quickly when they have the capacity for it.
And what are your thoughts on whether the dairy industry is dying or thriving?
Dying or thriving? Well, it's certainly not dying. I find the dairy industry kind of goes with population. If the population grows, you're probably going to be having to produce more milk and ship more dairy products from processors. And so definitely there's always a demand for dairy products. I don't think people are really consuming less dairy. There's always going to be competition with companies that are trying to impersonate dairy products, but there's nothing that replaces dairy. Like, dairy's so natural, you can't replace it. I think we have a good industry to be in to help nourish Ontarians, Canadians. Families can look at dairy farms and know that that's a place that can ship and produce good food, good nutrients for their children, for their family, for decades to come. So dairy's here to stay, and we're here to help produce and deliver the nutritious milk which so many dairy products come from.
One thing we're doing in hopes of helping to keep the dairy industry growing is building trust with consumers to ensure that we are providing a safe and healthy place for the cows by opening our doors to the public by way of YouTube. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting dairy, and we hope to see you in the next one.